So, dear friends, hello. Nice to see you here. And I'm very grateful to you for your interest in our native breeds. It is a special cycle of the lectures organized by the Russian Kennel Club, the Russian Kynological Federation, in the framework of the special program named Responsible Breeding. So we continue this cycle, and today the topic of my lecture is Russian Black Terrier. But before to read the standard and give my comments, I would like to add you something right now. For the deeper and better explanations of the provisions of the standard, I will use the model approach, which includes two models: biomechanical model of the dogs and harmonic model of the dogs. These models give me the possibility to consider the conformation of the dog from two different perspectives, named soundness and harmony. These two models were used for my doctoral dissertation, so you can trust everything what I will be saying about that, because the principles included in these models are not hypotheses. They are scientifically proven facts, and I will use them. So, in the beginning, I'm going to tell you briefly about the biomechanical model of the dogs, which is valid for the majority of the breeds, and the Black Russian Terrier is belonging to this majority. So, Катюш, я вас попрошу картинки. Just a moment, just a moment. Look at the picture at your screen. You will see here the beautiful Russian Black Terrier bitch, which was my best in show at the World Dog Show held in Moscow in 2016. And year before, he was a European champion at the European Dog Show in Oslo. She won the group there under the same world-famous judge. You can see him here, close to this winning couple. And please take this picture in your mind, because in a very short time I will show you how did like the dogs in the beginning. And now I'm ready to go to the biomechanical model.
Which pictures do you like to have?
This is the picture. How does look the Black Russian Terrier from outside?
Mm-hmm.
And the next picture gives us, this is the Russian Black Terrier on the move. And now we can see the internal structure of this dog. Now I will go step by step, telling you what is the composition you see in front of you. So the first postulate of the biomechanical model, and the biomechanical model is the integrity of several postulates. And if you remember, the postulates is the statement which doesn't need to be proven. So first postulate, please.
Which one? Which picture?
This one. Thank you so much. No. It was okay. Yep.
Ciao, Fabrizio. Nice to
see you. Hello to everybody one more time, please. But I continue my set out. So As you can see at this picture, the top line from the beginning of the withers to the tail set is divided by anatomical divisions: back, actual back, loin, and sacrum, is divided according to the ratio 2:1:1. When 2 units fall on the back, 1 falls on the loin, and last 1 falls on the sacrum. Postulates 2:1:1 is very special postulate. It is placed number 1 here not only because of the order, but because of its value, because it's the general index. And using this postulate when breeding, we can get compact body, strong top line, deep chest, and in the first approximations, correct angulations front and rear, and balance between them. Let me call these blue lines as the sides of the pendulum. Of course, this name is a conditional name, but it will be convenient to me to use this name. These sides of the pendulum are creating by 2 blue lines. One of them, the left one, oblique left one blue line, is along the medium line of the shoulder blade. Another one, blue line, right one, is crossing hips and the iliac tuber. And at the point of intersection, the angle is 90 degrees. So the second postulate is that the angle by the axis of the pendulum is 90 degrees. What does it give when breeding? This angle is providing the preconditions for the balance when dog is moving. Namely, is providing the preconditions for the equality of the strides, front strides and hind strides. And the last one I'm going to tell you, because there are several explanations, but I will tell you only about 2. It would be enough for our further consideration. That the slant of the shoulder blade and slant of the iliac bone, these slants are not independent, and the dependence is 90 degrees by the axis of the pendulum. So these lines are perpendicular. Okay. The more detailed explanation I will give you when reading the standard. Now we can go on. Next picture, please.
It's more or less the same.
It's more or less the same. Yes. Yes. And the third postulate is the principle named 2 horizontals. According to this principle, the shoulder joint or humeral scapula and hip joint lie on one horizontal line, and the elbow joint and knee joint lie on another horizontal line. May I draw attention, please? Look, I'm connecting elbow joint, not elbow ulna, because the joint is working What does it give? These two lines oscillating contrary in antiphases, and their mutual oscillations compensate each other. That's why the spinal column is remaining horizontal. Spine remains level. It looks not really horizontal, but a little bit sloping, but it is resulted by the length of the spinous processes, which are decreasing from the withers to the tail set. And inside is practically horizontal or level spine. And why is it important? Because if you remember, the motive thrusts from the rear are transmitting by the system of levers to the iliac tuber to be transmitted further to the front of the dog along the top line. And if the spine is horizontal, the dog doesn't need to lift the center of gravity. And it has a very positive effect because dog with this construction is not tiring on the move, trotting. The next principle, next postulate is principle of two verticals. 1, 2. According to the first vertical, elbow joint is under the withers, under the top of withers. And the second vertical line means that knee joint is under the tail set. What does it give? In this case, the upper thigh, the upper arm is slanted backwards as much as possible in physiological limits. And that's why the front angulations, so the shoulder angulation or humeral scapula, is approaching to 90 degrees angle as much as possible. The same situation appears in the hind legs, because in this case, upper thigh is slanted a little bit forward. That's why the angle between upper thigh and sciatic bone is also 90 degrees. And you remember, the 90 degrees angulations are the best for the most economical functioning of these joints. So this is the value of this postulate. We can go on. And the picture you see in front of you is the conclusion of the previous picture. Please take a look. The elbow joint is under the top of withers. The knee joint is under the tail set. And you can see that the length of the top line is almost equal to the distance between these two joints. What does it mean almost? You remember the influence of the spinous vertebra due to their height decreasing towards the rump. The top line is a little bit sloping, and inside is practically horizontal line, horizontal spine. So length of the spine and length of this distance are equal. And this is extremely important because the beginning of spine and end of spine are supported by two mobile supports: elbow joint and stifle joint or knee joint. And how should I say it in English? My goodness. So when dog is taking off and landing, the first violations are approaching to this level, to these joints. And at this level, this violation is softened. And that's why the top line or spine is not so much violated because of this softened transmission. So let's go on. According to this postulate, the length of the body and distance between front and hind legs are equal. I have to mention that we measure length of the body from sternum, not from this joint, because otherwise part of the body located in front of the shoulder joint or humerus scapula will be lost. Regarding the hind legs, I have to notice that the hind leg is placed behind the body to the vertical rear pastern. We call it zootechnical stance. So if the dog is standing correctly, then length of the body and distance between front and rear legs are equal. Why? Short explanation. Let us imagine for a while that angulations are missing, that the limbs are deprived of any angulations, that the limbs are like legs of the chair. Then length of the body and distance between these legs will be absolutely equal. But by the system of levers, the body of the dog moved forward regarding rear and front legs. And if we suppose that they moved on different distance for front legs and for hind legs, then it means that the front strides and the hind strides are not equal. But this is not true. Otherwise, balance when dog is moving will be never approached. You can see in front of you something new. What is this? Before to tell you about the golden section, which is the tool I used for the harmony of the dog conformation, let me shortly repeat you important results which are because of the biomechanical model. Now let me say to you that this model is important either for the judges or for the breeders. Why and how? Because for the judge, there are reference points. Look, 2, 1, 1, and borders in between. And it could be checked by hands to find whether there is or no. Then the judge will have the objective picture evaluating these top line proportions. Another thing, another reference points are concerning the highest horizontal line, because it is very easy to check if the humerus scapula and hips, hip joint, lie on one horizontal line or no. And the same situation is concerning the lowest horizontal line, whether these joints belong to one horizontal line or no. And using of these points will give the judge possibility to upgrade objectivity of his assessment. For the breeders, the same points could be very efficient when looking for the best stud of their bitches. So very shortly, this is the positive effect of using of biomechanical model. Now we can follow to the harmonic model. As I promised you, I was and I am going to consider the dog conformation viewed from two perspectives. One was based on the biomechanical model, and it led to the soundness of the dog. This one is directed to the harmony of the dog conformation. Harmony, what does it mean, harmony? It is a very deep concept, and unfortunately it is not a time which could be in more details set out to you. But very briefly, I have to say that the harmony from the formal side is based on the golden section, because the golden section is the universal form building principle. This principle was well known for the ancient Egypt, for the ancient Greece, for the Renaissance time, for the modern time, and there is a lot of examples of its influence. You can find in my book. In English, this book name is Dog Conformation and Its Evaluation, and it is available in UK in Our Dogs. Now, let me concentrate on this formal definition of this principle. And this definition was given by Euclid, which lived 3 centuries before Christ. The segment O1 is divided by point X, this is a small circle, if its biggest part, or 1, this is 1, to its, the whole segment length, 1, to its biggest part, or X, this is the X, is the same as biggest part, it is X, to the smallest one. This proportion leads very easily to the square equation, and its positive root, can believe me, or if you like, you can calculate it, is the square root from 5 minus 1, and all divided to 2. If we will calculate the approximations of this number. The third approximation will give us this number, this fraction. Then if I will look for more rough meaning, it will be this one. And the last, most rough approximation will be 0.6 or 3 to 5. Please remember this number. It will be important further in our comments in the application to the standard of the Russian Black Terrier. This number named golden section, this one in the beginning, and this is approximation, where has had the name La Proportia Divina, because it was the topic of the book of the Italian monk, mathematicians, lived in 16th century. He wrote the book named La Proportia Divina, divine proportion, proportion given by God. Leonardo da Vinci illustrated this book, and it was his idea to change the name to golden section, Sectio Aureo. And namely, this name became famous for this principle. 4 centuries before, another mathematician, Italian mathematician, Leonardo Fibonacci, lived in Pisa, solving one problem, got the sequence. You can see it. It is very easily built. 1, 1, 2. 1 plus 2 is 3. 2 plus 3 is 5. 3 plus 5 is 8, and on. If I modify this sequence, look, 1, then I will divide each previous to the next one. 1, second, 2, third, 3, 5th, 5, 8th. Then, and it is a miracle, the limit of this sequence will be the same number, golden section. So each number of Fibonacci sequence could be considered as the approximation of the golden section. And you can see this is the same number. And now I would like to draw your attention on the initial sequence. Look at the numbers I put in red. 1, 1, 2. Do these numbers remind you anything? Of course. This is considered in the reverse way. 2, 1, 1. So, this is the numbers which are base of harmony. Without these numbers, sequence couldn't be built, and golden section couldn't be approached. So now you can understand why 2, 1, 1 is the ratio according to which the spinal column is divided by its divisions according to this ratio. Now you can understand why that principle is the most important and the most valuable. Because only in this case, 2, 1, 1, we are tuning the harmony of the dog construction, of the dog conformation at the initial level, and then the golden section could be approached. If the spinal column is divided according to another ratio, then never ever the golden section will be approached. So the harmony is based on these two, at these three numbers. So I would call this discovery as the moment of truth. So if this principle has the universal value for the harmony of everything inside us or outside us, then dog conformation should match this principle. So my task was to find out these proportions of the dog exterior, which are important for the harmony for its build. Now, I'm ready to go to these proportions, and we will look depth of the chest to the length of the top line is golden section. Let me clarify something. Depth of the chest. You can see it is the level of the joint, and it is a top of width. Length of the top line starts from the first thoracic vertebra and to tail set. So depth of the chest to the length of the top line is the golden section. And let me repeat that everything I'm telling now about is concerning majority of the breeds, not for all breeds. There are some exceptions, but Black Russian Terrier matches this majority, belongs to this majority. This is proportion number 2. Length of the chest to the length of the body is golden section. And let me repeat, please, that I start measuring length of the body and same length of the chest from the sternum, 3 to 5. Length of the body to the length of the diameter is golden section, or roughly 3 to 5. What does it mean, diameter? At the picture you can see the blue line connecting occiput and paw of the hind leg placed behind the body to the vertical rear pasta. But in reality, you will have the dog where occiput and this point do not lie in one vertical plane, which should be parallel to the longitudinal axis of the body. So, and this line is the projection of the initial line to the vertical plane parallel to the axis, longitudinal axis of the body. And this is a roughly 3 to 5. Length of the body and distance between front and hind legs are equal. Why did I include this picture in the harmonic model now? Because it could be interpreted like 1, 1. And how it was constructed, I have already given you the explanations, so we can go on. Height at elbow to the sum of head and neck is golden section. Please pay your attention. This is the elbow joint, not elbow ulna. And the last harmonic proportion is girth of the muzzle to the girth of the skull is golden section. Girth or circumference, if you like it more. Okay. This is the end of the model approach. I do not give you any comments to each of them because, as promised, it will be done very briefly. But in some details, it will be considered when reading the standard, when needed. Okay, now, what we have now? Now we see the dog on the move. Please enjoy this picture. And I will tell you nothing about this dog on the move right now. I will come back to this picture when reading the standard in part of movement. And now, very interesting picture. This is the book of standards issued in 1970 by the Working Dogs Federation with all standards. And this is the standard of the Black Russian Terrier. It was its name that time. And you can see the pictures. Катюша, можно еще раз самую первую картинку, с которой мы начали, где было название сегодняшней лекции? Look, this is the example of perfection. Can you imagine that this dog, if is offspring of the dogs illustrated the standard in 1970? Can you imagine how huge work was done on this way? We have really greatly talented breeders who could get the dog like this one. So now let's come to the past. I mean the pictures of the dogs illustrated the standard of 1970, please.
Okay.
So, very primitive dog, slightly long-bodied, deep-chested, with not a long head, the soft top line, arched loin, rather low set tail. Quite okay is front angulation and straight behind. This is the male. It is noticed here. and this is the female. I'm not sure that I have to describe this female. It is very visible, everything here. And in both examples, male and female, you cannot see furnishing, especially in case of female. I have this book with me, and I would like to read you that standard. Something was foreseen, predictable, I would say. Talented authors of this breed suggested what should happen in the future and how it should look like. But something was different, and I believe that for you could be interesting how this dog was described in that time. I have of course, it is printed, published in Russian. Let me translate it. Black Terrier is the dog over medium size, over или above medium size, broad-bodied, strong, with massive bones and musculature, thick skin, elastic, without wrinkles. Dog is mistrustful to the strangers, endurable, with conditions, excellent, is able to adapt to different conditions of the varied regions of the country. Type, strong and coarse. Format, 100 to 105. That means that the length of the body exceeds the height at width no more than 5%. Height at width no less than 65. For the bitches, no less than 60. Temperament, strong, balanced, calm, with a defensive reaction in active form. Genotype, well expressed. According to males are bigger, more masculine, more massive than females. Coat, rough, dense, broken hair, very well developed furnishing on the muzzle and in well-known places of the body. I will not translate it, it's easy. Undercoat dense, well developed, black or mixture between black and brown. Color, black or black with the gray. Head, long, rather wide in the skull, with a rounded skull, rounded cheeks. Forehead flat, stop, visible but not abrupt. Parallel planes, muzzle massive, slightly snipey, a little bit shorter than the skull. Together with the furnishing, it creates a blunt and square form. Lips, thick and fleshy. Upper lip is close to the upper jaw, without flaws. teeth, large, white, with a tight scissor bite, incisors of the underjaw on one line, eyes, medium size, oval shaped, obliquely set, dark. Ears, high set, hanging on the cartilage, not big, triangle, front edge close to the cheeks. Neck, long, massive, dry, 40 to 45 degrees to the horizontal. Withers, high, excellent, prominent above the top line. Back, straight, wide, muscled. Loin, short, wide, muscled, a little bit arched. Croup, wide, muscled, slightly sloping to the high set tail. Chest, broad, deep, somewhat rounded ribs, underline at the same level as the elbows or a bit lower. Belly, tucked up. Tail, high set, thick, should be shortly cropped, should be left 1/3 of the tail. Front legs, viewed from front, straight and parallel. Humerus scapula, about 110. Elbows directed backwards. Forearms straight, thick, with a short, upright pasterns. Hind legs, viewed from behind, straight and parallel, set a bit wider than the forelegs. Upper thighs muscled, well developed. Second thighs long, obliquely set. Hocks, dry with good angulations. Rear pasterns massive, long, set almost upright. Feet large, arched, rounded. Movement easy, smooth, light. Typical is short trot and gallop. When moving, legs should be parallel with some convergence of the forelegs to the median line. Back and loin are flexible. Disqualifying folds, all deviations from the scissors. Cryptorchidism, including monorchids, pied white feet, and tense, pied color, gray color. So, very interesting description. In many things, it is quite similar to the modern description, except something which can help us to understand what way the breed was developed regarding its conformation. Size. Size is the first point. Format. The old Russian Terrier was practically square-bodied, and the modern is somewhat long-bodied. Furnishing was described as desirable with a good developed furnishing, but in reality it looked like we can see at the screen. And of course, desirable things like angulations, front and rear, were described absolutely correctly, very similar to the modern description, but in the reality, the dogs were primitive with the angulations far away from the desirable. One more time, I would like to express gratitude to the breeders of this breed, which were so talented that could modify that primitive dog to the dog close to perfection. At the moment, the quality in the average of the black Russian Terriers is really very high, and sometimes for the judges, even which are the specialists of the breed, it's not easy task to place them, to choose the leaders. Many of them are pretending to be leaders. Okay.
Now what?
I think we are ready to go to the modern standard, to read it, and to give the comments. The modern version of the standard of the Russian Black Terrier is confirmed by the FCI in 2011. And the picture illustrated the paragon of the breed. You can see famous dog. I don't know if you have in front of you the standard, but when you find it, you can remember that the name of this dog was Chris. He was triple world champion, triple European champion. He was international champion, club champion, multiply champion, and he was a great producer. Even in his origin, he was practically a result of outcross. So his value as the stud dog was magnificent. And the beach illustrated our lecture today in the beginning is his great-granddaughter. Brief historical summary. The Russian Black Terrier was created in Russia during the late 1940s and in the early 50s by selective interbreeding of breeds like the Rottweiler, Giant Schnauzer, Elder Terrier, and Newfoundland dog. The Giant Schnauzer is considered to be the main ancestor of the breed. The initial breeding was supervised by the Military Sinological School outside Moscow, and the dogs were based in the kennels named Red Star. The aim of the creators of the breed was the development of the large, brave, strong, and manageable working dog with a pronounced guarding instinct, a dog which could be useful for many services and adapts well to various climate conditions. The breed was recognized by the FCI in 1984. This is the official breed summary. I would like to add something to this story. Of course, dogs were used to create this breed at that time, did like differently than today. And some of them, like in Newfoundland, was mainly not a purebred dog. It was mixed with a shepherd. I would like to say German shepherd, but it would be not 100% correctly, because the German shepherd at that time transformed into the East European shepherd. It's another story, and let me don't go deep in this story. So it was breed which we called in Russia Moskovsky водолаз, mixture of the Newfoundland and this East European shepherd. Maybe some of Newfies were purebred dogs. It is not clear now. Rottweilers of that time were more short-bodied than today and smaller, not so tall. Elder terriers were almost similar, of course not so perfect in outlines, but it was the time after the Second World War, and the creators of this breed could use only what they had. And the last one, giant schnauzer, was also a little bit primitive and not so tall. This is about the ancestors. And the dogs in the beginning were very angry dogs. It was difficult to rule them, and it was a very hard job, due to which the temperament and the outlines of the Russian Terrier were modified so much. In the beginning, the dog, this breed, was bred in the kennel Red Star only, and it was created for the military purposes. That's why his coat couldn't be with the specifics of today, with a lot of feathering. It would be not convenient to use them for military purposes. Also, grooming of these dogs by soldiers couldn't be done the best, and you understand that the dog could be healthy all the time, deprived of any skin problems. So it's easy to understand why its coat looked like the pictures illustrated the old standard. But with the years, some dogs came to the hands of the lovers of the breed, which lived outside Red Star. And it was possible due to exchange between the working clubs and army. The army was interested in the shepherds, in the East European shepherds. And the breeders of these dogs let the dog grow up to the determined age. And this dog were sent to Red Star, and as they exchange, these breeders could get black Russian terriers. It was the beginning of the breeding at the platform of the amateurs. with the years, because of the special selection directed to more beautiful outlines and to better developed furnishing and to the more soft temperament, it was possible to get these dogs. Try to compare. Dogs illustrated the old standard were belonging to the 70th of previous century. And the Chris, you remember, he is put in the standard as the paragon of the breed, was born, if you remember correctly, I remember correctly, in the beginning of the 90s. So only 20 years needed to transform that primitive dog in this beautiful specimen of the breed. This was the way. General appearance. The Russian Black Terrier is a large dog with a slightly long body and very athletic build of a robust type and hardy constitution. You can see immediately the difference. Previous standard, the dog was above medium size. Now it is a large dog. It is symmetrical with a large head and compact body and a voluminous and deep chest. Differences between the sexes to be clearly defined. Now it's the time to clarify something in the context of this description of the general appearance. You can see, once again, the top line proportions. And you can find here, easily find, that the loin is short. It is a 1/4 of the top line. Short loin is the reason of compact built dog. If loin, like here, like it should be in Black Russian Terrier, is short, that means that this part, I would call it chest part, from the last part, which includes the rump and high legs, are close to each other. They are located not far away from each other because of the short connection. So the same could be called short coupled dog. First couple and the second couple. And this is because of the short. Besides that, we can find in the standard that the body is slightly elongated. That means that the length of the body is slightly superior than the height at withers. And these two things, these two statements, compact body and slightly long-bodied body, are not in contradiction. Unfortunately, there is a widespread mistake when people think, and sometimes are sure, that the compactness is the same that the square-bodied dog. This is not true. And as the best explanation, please keep in mind the example of the dachshund, one of the most long-bodied dogs. Again, which must be compact. And the explanation is the same, only because of the short loin. Differences between the sexes to be clearly defined. Now it's a time to say about one important feature. It is well known that usually the bitches are longer in the body than the dogs. Why? And when I asked people what is the reason for some elongation of the body by the bitches, the answer is because of the loin. And this is a widespread delusion, because this ratio 2:1:1 and the sex of the dog are absolutely not correlated. Either for males or for females, this spinal proportion, the spinal ratio, is the same, 2:1:1. But if it doesn't influence the length of the female's body in the comparison to the males, what is the reason for this elongation? Let us remember the functional difference between the sexes. Bitches should bring the puppies. So whelping is the main reason for this difference. And for the whelping, sciatic bones should be longer and buttocks should be more prominent, because this provides the best process of whelping. But what happens? Катюш, я попрошу дать мне пропорцию из числа гармонических. Мы сейчас найдем. Там, где сравниваются между собой длина груди и длина туловища. Там, где зеленым, по-моему, зеленой дугой перечеркивается длина туловища. Дальше. Следующий. Вот. Окей. Look at this. No. Before. The previous one. Okay. Yep. Look. Now, try to remember what I was saying. I elongated the sciatic bone so the buttock became more prominent. That means that the proportions between the chest part and length of the body are violated. Body became longer than before. That means that there is no more 3 to 5. There is now 3 to 5 plus something, and golden section is violated. And how we could restore the balance? How could we restore the right ratio? Only one way. If we will add some more prominent forechest, lengthening the chest in front, then we will restore this proportion in the accordance to the golden section. That's why in the bitches, forechest is a bit more prominent as well as the buttocks. And these lines are becoming more soft, more smooth and soft, which is more typical for the females. And males have more hard outlines, and the females have more soft outlines, which is more feminine, like it should be. I believe that my explanation is exhaustive and everybody understands what I meant. So coming back to the beginning of the standard, general appearance. So, not only. Катюша, я попрошу теперь следующую, даже через одну картинку. Там, где сравнивается высота в локте, сумма длин головы и шеи.
Это, мне кажется, не через одну.
Да?
Вот это, через две.
Давайте через две. Вот, спасибо. About the difference between the sexes. Height at elbow to the sum of head and neck creates golden section, or is created by the golden section. By the males, head is longer and larger and more massive. By the females, head is a bit shorter, smaller, and not so massive. At the same time, the bitch's neck is in the average longer than in the dogs. Thus, the sum is remaining the same. Smaller head plus longer neck, and the result is the same as before. And vice versa, for the dogs, larger head plus shorter neck, and the result will be the same. And this ratio between height at elbow and sum of head and neck will be not violated either by males or by females. So let's go on. Important proportions. Length of the body slightly longer than the height at width could be more pronounced in females. This is already what was explained. So now you understand the sense of this statement of the standard. Depth of the chest should not be less than half the height at width. Length of the depth of the chest, I read it. Length of the head should not be less than 40% of the dog's height at width. The muzzle is slightly shorter than the skull. I go a little bit ahead to the description of the legs. When it is mentioned that the distance from the elbow ulna to the ground is equal to 50 to 52% of the dog's height at width. Look, it is really clear, because ulna of elbow is located higher than the joint, and this height at elbow is really more than the height at elbow. And then dog looks, no, it's better to explain another one. But dogs looks a bit stocky. Despite this 50 to 52%. 52% is a leggy dog. And the Black Russian doesn't look as a leggy dog. And you have to understand the sense, the reason. Because this height, 50 to 52%, is regarding the height at elbow ulna, not elbow joint. So, the Black Russian Terrier has the chest reaching the elbow joint or even a bit below. So please be careful reading these two statements, which are not in contradiction. I'm coming back to the beginning. 40% regarding the head is quite normal proportion for the majority of the breeds, nothing special. Muzzle slightly shorter than the skull. Regarding important proportions and general appearance, I have to add something. Look, the ancestors of this breed were so different. Giant Schnauzer, Elder Terrier, Rottweiler, Newfie. And the type, true type of Black Russian Terrier is described as the rather stocky, massive dog with a big head. With a, it is a dog broad bodied. I would say that the Russian Black Terrier could be considered as the huge Schnauzer, if not giant Schnauzer. I could give the name giant, but it is already used for another breed. And in this case, everything is with a bigger dimensions, but the proportions are very similar to the Schnauzer. Rather stocky than slim, stocky rather than slim. Slightly long-bodied, Schnauzer is almost square-bodied, which could be interpreted similarly, with a large head, of course not 50% of the height, because when size is increasing, it's very well known, the length of the head, is decreasing. It couldn't be 50% for the such huge dog, for the such extremely tall dog. But main thing, very deep-chested dog, almost stocky, with a broad chest, with a massive construction and strong bones, reminds very much Schnauzer in the largest edition. That's why it's quite understandable that among all his ancestors, the giant Schnauzer was named as the main one. In my opinion, this comparison is quite okay to describe the type of the dog. which shouldn't be, how should I say it in English, inclined towards the terrier type, when we could get, and it happens, flat-ribbed dogs, high-legged dogs with a narrow heads in the skull, with the angulation not so much expressed. And it should not be molosse. And we will find one small accent in the description put in the standard, which can help us to understand how it could be prevented from the tendency to the molosse type. Behavior and temperament. A dignified and confident dog, well controlled in all situations. When circumstances require, he immediately assumes an active defensive posture, however quickly calms down in the disappearance of threat. This handsome breed is amiable and has great endurance. It is undemanding, smart, and friendly. It adapts well to training and various climate conditions, and it is hardworking and reliable. These two specifics, when circumstances require, he immediately assumes an active defensive posture, and, however, quickly calms down. Very typical for Schnauzer, if you remember. One more detail which remains similarity of the breeds. Head. Head should be in proportion to body, although large, massive, and long. Skull. Moderately broad with flat forehead. Top line of skull is parallel with the top line of muzzle. The superciliary arches and occipital bone are moderately pronounced. Stop noticeable but not sharp. Nose, large and black. Muzzle, strong, broad, and slightly shorter than the skull. Muzzle is wide at the base and narrowing slightly to the tip of nose. Moustache and beard accentuated volume and give the muzzle a rectangular, blunt appearance. Try to remember the old description, which was quite similar. The main features are the same. Remained. Lips thick, well pigmented and tight. Lip rims dark. Jaws, teeth. Large white teeth that are tightly adjacent to each other. The lower incisors positioned in one line. Full dentition, 42 teeth. Scissors wide, cheeks, dry cheekbones with a rounded but not pronounced cheeks. So I would say that the head has, in general, viewed from front and from above, a rectangular shape, which is not interfered with the developed skulls. So, including developed skulls, accentuated by well-developed mustache and beard, it has a rectangular shape. Eyes, medium-sized, oval-shaped, set straight and wide apart. Dark color, wide apart, matches the muzzle nose bridge white at the root, at the base. Dark color of eyes. This point, it's a rather difficult point. And one of the most typical faults in the population is the eyes color. Quite often we can find rather light eyes. And this is the requirement, dark eyes, which should be considered, which should be kept in mind very carefully. Because eyes color, as everything concerning pigmentation, is correlated with the nervous system. It is not a time to give you the details of this explanation, but one more time, should you need it, my book has this position, this point, and this explanation. Ears, hanging, set high and symmetrical, medium-sized, triangular-shaped, front edge close to the cheek. Ear leather is dense without folds. Neck, strong, dry, and muscular. The length of the neck is approximately equal to the length of the head and set at an angle of 45-50 degrees to the horizon. The nape is strong and well developed. Now, remembering the old standards and description of the neck, we have to say that the neck of the modern Black Russian Terrier is set a bit higher than before. Body, solid, deep, and voluminous, well balanced. Solid body is the synonym of the compact body. Usually when describing this term, we notice that the top line is very smooth from the withers to the tail set, without the possibility for the eye to find out borders between back, loin, and sacrum. This line looks like one whole. Solid body and so-called solid top line features should be considered together. Top line slightly sloping from the withers to the root of the tail. Why it is like that? Because of the spinous processes, which height is decreasing from the withers to the tail set, as I said to you before. And plus there is one more phenomenon, which is giving, how should I say it better, which prevents to the overbuilt dogs, either when standing or when moving. I will consider it with more details coming to the limbs construction. But now I would like only to point this position. It is a preventive measure against overbuilt construction. Withers, high and well developed, more pronounced in males than in the females. This is one specific feature typical for the different sexual types, males and females, and difference regarding the withers, which are developed more in males. Back, strong, straight, and muscular. The length of the actual back is equal to the 1/2 of to 1/2 the length measured from the withers to the base of the tail. This is according to the golden section, that the back is the half of the whole top line. The term actual back is written quite especially because there are several different definitions of the back. We use for the back definition which is based on the thoracic part of the spine, from the first vertebra to the last thoracic vertebra. This is the beginning of the chest. This is the end of the chest. This is the beginning of the back. This is the back, end of the chest. There are several, and in this case, to accentuate this name, we put the term actual back or thoracic part of the spine. There are several definitions, as I already said to you. One of them is when as the back, the whole top line is considered to be a back. Whole top line can be considered as the back. That's why very short we find out in the description, in the descriptions of our colleagues, short-backed dog, when they mean that they consider the short top line. Another definition is based on another statement when in the back are included actual back plus loin. And this is very typical for the German system, because this sum is considered and is called as the medium part of the body. Medium part. There is several other definitions. I don't want to tell you about all of them, but the only definition based on the back as the thoracic part of the spine does give you possibility to find out proportions between back and loin. And later on, iliac tuber will give the possibility to find out the proportion between these two parts of the top line of the spine. Any other definitions don't give you this possibility. Then attention of the judge or of the breeder is not directed to these proportions between back, loin, and sacrum. And then it is impossible to find out the proportion which provides the harmony, the basic harmony of the dog, resulted by these numbers, 2, 1, 1. Initial Fibonacci numbers. Without these numbers, as I told you already, harmony couldn't be approached. So please keep in your mind the definition I gave you, and it will help you to make the best assessment of the dog. Loin wide, short, muscled and slightly arched. The length is equal to half the length of the actual back. There is the description of this principle, 2 and 1, and the rest is 1. So it's described with other words, the same ratio. I don't need to explain it more. Everything, I hope it is clear. Croup, broad, muscular, slightly sloping, of moderate length. This is an interesting point. Let us take a look. Sacrum is the upper part of the croup. But croup includes also pelvis bones, plus muscles and tendons located in this area. Short upper part, sacrum, and quite rather long croup. Because of what? Because of long sciatic bones. Sciatic bones length gives the length of the croup. That's why these two statements, short sacrum and long croup, are not contradictory. Chest, deep, long, and broad with slightly sprung ribs. Slightly sprung ribs. You remember in the beginning, a broad-chested dog, and together with a slightly sprung ribs, are these requirements not contradictory? No. Moreover, if it is written that the ribs are sprung, it could be interpreted as the tendency to the moloss type. So here is the warning, slightly arched, slightly sprung. At the same time, ribs are not flattened, and it will save the dog from the tendency to the terrier type. Shape of the thorax in the cross-section is oval. The breastbone is long and the forechest slightly extends. The shoulder joint and is well muscled. Like here is painted. Deep chest, you can see breastbone is at the level of the elbow joint. Underline and belly on the same line as the show joint or slightly below. Belly moderately tucked up. Flanks only slightly developed. Tail. Sorry for this cropped dog. I belong to the last century, when this breed, as well as the many others, were docked. And for me, it's quite natural to see this picture. So I beg your pardon, but dog is cropped here. I lack the requirement on the standard. Let us read it. Thick at the root and set high. In the moment, the tail is carried gently, but the root of the tail does not incline over the back. Squirrel tail should not be directed towards the head. A tail traditionally docked in the country of the origin. Russia is the country of the origin. Dock is docked. An undocked tail's length or shape has no influence on the evaluation of the dog. Preferable shape of the undocked tail is saber or sickle. When writing the standard, we use the experience of our colleagues from Germany when they required for all schnauzers, for example, saber or sickle tail. And in our opinion, it was not correct because of several reasons. First of all, it was no any selection on the shape of the chests before. All tails were docked, so nobody knows about the shape and carriage, not at the root, but further. Another thing, it was mistake in the English translation from the German, because in German it was written, I translate now into English, correct translation, that the saber and sickle shaped tails are aim of selection. And in the English translation published in the standard for all schnauzers, is written that it is a sought after, so almost required. Is a big difference, and should pass some time and some specific direction, selection directed to the desirable shape of the tail before this shape will be approached. That's why in our standard of the Russian leg standard is terrier is written what I read for you right now. General appearance. Forelegs, when viewed from the front and straight, are straight and parallel. The distance from the elbow ulna to the ground is equal to 50 to 52% of the dog's height at withers. I already told about it. Shoulder. Shoulder, I mean, in this context, we have to understand that this is a shoulder blade. Long, broad, and well laid back. We used well laid back because of traditional description of this oblique positioned shoulder blades, but we used it because it is quite traditional. The angle between shoulder blade and the upper arm is approximately 100 degrees. 100 degrees. Upper arm muscular and no shorter than the shoulder blade. You can see. At one vertical, with the same slant, with the same contrary slant. Elbow close to the body. Forearm straight, thick, round bone. Vertical when viewed from the front and side. Pastern, short, massive, and slightly sloping when viewed from the side. Forefeet, large, compact, and round in shape. Nails and pads are black. Hindquarters. General appearance. When viewed from behind, straight and parallel. Set wider than the forelegs. When viewed from the side, placed slightly behind the dog. Thigh moderately long. Thigh means upper thigh. Slightly inclined, wide with well-developed voluminous muscles. Stifle, well bent. Lower thigh, no shorter than the sides. Rear pastern, strong, low, and vertically positioned. No dew claws. Low means low placed hock. Hind feet, slightly smaller than the front feet and tending oval shape. Nails and pads are black. Now it is a time to come back to the models, particularly for the biomechanical model. The angulations in front and in the rear should be in balance. What does it mean? Coming back to the principle of two horizontals, we will find out that the humeral scapula joint and hip joint lie on one horizontal line, and the shoulder joint, not ulna, joint, and the knee joint lie on another horizontal line. What does it give? As I told you, when dog is moving, these two lines are oscillating in anti-phase or contrary. And what happens? With some more detail, please. The hip is going up so much as the stifle is going down. So this is what I was saying, they compensate oscillation each other. And this compensation, and because of this compensation, the spine remains level. I explained already why is it important, and I don't think that it is necessary to repeat it. But should you have any questions after my lecture, you can ask me one more time. However, these two horizontals, even they block the overbuilt structure, cannot provide the optimum slant of these two elements to provide the best meaning of front angulations and the rear angulations. This angle should be quite close to the 90 degrees, 100. It is not a big difference. And coxofemoral angulation should be exactly 90 degrees. I will give you some more details about the coxofemoral angulation a bit later on. Катюш, я вас попрошу потом дать мне отдельно картинку со строением таза, хорошо? And only this requirement, according to which shoulder joint and top of withers should lie on one vertical line, principle of two verticals, and knee joint and tail of the same root of the tail should lie on one another vertical line, are there reasons to put the elbows under the body and the front angulation be developed more close to the 90 degrees. And the slant of the upper thigh, regarding this construction, this coxofemoral angulations, will lead to the 90 degrees in this case. So, two horizontals provide level spine, and two verticals create the preconditions for the best angulations in front and in the rear. But because of sometimes a little bit too much angulated rear limbs, we mentioned this sloping position of the top line. Look, when hind legs are unbending, the rump is getting higher, and high withers is additional reason to prevent the overbuilt construction. If the angulations of the rear will be less, this sloping top line would be not so necessary, not so required. And when they are so much angulated, when they are unbending, the rump is going much more high, and the sloping top line is additional preventive measure against overbuilt construction. Катюш, дайте мне теперь, пожалуйста.
Да?
Нет, я хочу... Вот это, да. Спасибо. Кто-то что-то там нам пишет.
Где?
Italian rules for the good harmony. So it is not enough to have the feeling for the good harmony. It is required to know the rules of harmony. There is an example, very parallel, but anyway, which could clarify my position. A lot of people are talented, are gifted by music ears. How many of them are musicians? How many of them are professionals? Only those who studied theory of harmony. Here is the same. Without this knowledge, even very talented people with excellent eyes for the dogs are only dilettantes. This is the pelvis seen from the side. This is the iliac bone. This is the sciatic bone. This is the joint, hip. And please take a look at these lines, which means that these 3 points, iliac tuber, hip joint, and buttock, or sciatic tuber, do not lie on one straight line, but they create blunt angle. And the upper thigh of the hind leg placed behind the dog should create 90 degrees angle with a sciatic bone. Why? Because it is well known that the only 90 degrees angle gives the maximum for the economical function of this joint. The closer is this angle to the 90 degrees, the more efficient is the function of this joint. The less power it takes to provide the best push, the best motive thrust when unbending. Here are located extensors. Long sciatic bone gives a correct place for the best development, and correct angle between upper thigh and sciatic bone provides the best function when the dog, when we consider this thigh unbending. Vice versa, this is the upper thigh of the bending leg. And the angle between this upper thigh and iliac bone also should be 90 degrees, because at this time unbending should be provided also with a maximum of the efficiency, and this angle should be also 90 degrees, and this bone should be long to provide a lot of space for the flexors, bending muscles, unbending muscles or extensors, and bending muscles or flexors. Now we come back to the previous picture, please.
To the previous here or to the previous which we
Где
had?
были... Нет, Катюш, где были конечности? Нет, вот предыдущие, где были конечности.
Ой, я забыла. Пропорции
Двигаемся
или что?
вперед. Я скажу, когда. Нет, это назад.
Вперед. Сейчас. Так. Вот это, нет?
Нет. Так. Ну, хорошо, стоп. Давайте остановимся на бегущей собаке.
Самое.
Да, замечательно. So we can see now how it works. Now it's clear why should I tell you about the postulates belonging to the biomechanical model. Look, 2 horizontal lines. they provide the condition according to which spine is remaining horizontal. And as you can see, sloping of the top line for the dog on the move is not so express as in case of the standing dog. And this is happening because of unbending of the rear angulation and rump coming a bit up, but not so much that the overbuilt construction would appear. I believe that now it is clear. About the movement and criteria we use for its description. Do you remember that the first criterion of the balance, I think I have it mentioned as the first, is the equality of the front and the rear strides. You can see they are really equal. Then I told you that the blue lines, blue oblique lines, determine or provide the preconditions for this equality. And beside that, they determine the borders of the swings dog on the move close to the ground. Swing or range, if you like this word better. The third thing is the vertical line dropped from the eye to the paw of the front leg at the moment of landing or close to be landed. And this vertical line, on one hand, could be interpreted as the criterion of the extension trot, well extended trot, and on the other hand, could have another explanation. Why it is it required? Vestibular apparatus or acoustic center of equilibrium is located in the ear. Quite close to the ear is located the eye, and the eye is in advance to this vestibular apparatus. That's why at the moment of landing, the equilibrium will be approached. It is another side of this explanation. First, could be used, could be interpreted as the criterion of the well-extended trot. Another side is the explanation why is it required to be in advance of the location of the vestibular apparatus and provide equilibrium when dog is landed. And one more detail also important for the description of the sound movement. The vertical lowered from the point of intersection, from the point of intersection, it would be enough, is very important because here is located center of gravity. And the hind legs of the opposite side at the stage under the body are converging to the base of this vertical. And this is very important because the hind leg at this moment will provide support of the entire body. Let me see if we have something else. Skin. No. Typical gait. The typical gains. No. I will read one more time about the gait movement. Free and well balanced with smoothly bent joints. The typical gait is energetic trot with a long strides which comes from the powerful rear drive and significant reach in the forequarters. Top line to remain firm. I gave the whole explanation to this. Skin. Tight, well fitted, without folds or loose skin, still elastic, evenly pigmented. Coat. Hair. Rough and thick double coat, composed of a coarse, thick, slightly waved outer coat and soft, short and dense undercoat. The outer coat covers the whole body. The natural and the untrimmed coat length is between 5 to 15 centimeters. The head furnishing is very well developed and forms abundant eyebrows, mustache, and beard. Legs are covered in long, dense furnishing coat. Grooming in the correct form is required. The clipped coat should emphasize the character of a strong and assured dog and by no means by excessively decorative. The coat is left longer on legs and around the muzzle. The clipping should accentuate the massive head with a flat forehead, well-lying ears, strong neck, and well-constructed strong body. Color. Black with insignificant intermingling gray hair is permissible. Gray intermingling hair not to cover more than 1/3 of the whole body. Size and weight. Males 72 to 76, but not more than 78. Try to remember the previous standard, the old one, the edition of 70th, 65. Of course, description of the whole dog was above medium, and here large dog. Females 68 to 72. I forgot to tell you about the males, no less than 70, and for the females no less than 66, but no more than 74. Slightly taller specimens are tolerated providing they are proportionate and of excellent breed type. Weight 50 to 60 kilograms, females 45 to 50 kilograms. About defaults. Skull rounded, partial lack of pigmentation on lips, incisors not in line in lower jaw, small incisors. Eyes round, slightly light colored, oblique or narrow set. Neck too short and not muscular enough. Withers not pronounced. Sway back or narrow back. Loin too long, narrow, not muscled enough. Shoulders too straight. Forearms too short. Elbows turned in or turned out. Feet turning in or turning out. Hocks turned in, out, or sickle. Sickle means over-angulated when the rear pastern are inclined forward or slanted forward. Pacing interspersed when trotting, guard coat soft or smooth, rustly shading in guard coat, no undercoat. About pacing, It happens. But mostly it happens for the dogs which are not compact, or dogs with a long loin. If loin is long and plus maybe not wide enough, then the body is able to be tending to the roll gait, side roll gait. And side roll gait is the beginning of the pacing. Why I told you about the wide loin, why it should be wide, why it should be required. Because unlike horses, the transverse processes of the loin are rather short, and only well-developed muscles provide the wide loin. When loin is able to withstand wobbling of the croup, and wobbling as well as the side roll are preconditions for the pacing. Guard coat soft or smooth, rusty shading in guard coat, no undercoat. Severe faults. Deviation from the sex type, timid or overexcited behavior, head short or light, visible third eyelid, light colored eyes, severe fault. Croup horizontal or too steep, chest shallow or short, squirrel tail, bowed forearms, movement restricted, sluggish or heavy, guard coat silky. Disqualifying faults: aggressive or overly shy, any dog clearly showing physical or behavioral abnormalities, deviation towards the ancestry breeds, nose other than black, wall eye or different colored eyes, deviation from the scissor bite or missing teeth, guard coat smooth or lack of head, chest and leg furnishing, any other color than the ones described, white spots on or markings, clearly defined patches of the gray hair, and nota bene as usually concerning testicles and health of the dogs. So, Катюш, у нас есть еще картинки?
Да, конечно. А вы какие
Рисованные.
хотите? Давайте я вам прокручу их назад все.
Хорошо.
Если скажете, что мы какую-то не разбирали, на ней остановимся. Если нет, то придем.
На минуточку предыдущую, где морда и череп.
Это мы говорили.
Нет, другой. Следующий. Где голубенькие окружности.
Вот и про это не говорили. Это пропорция.
Explanation of these golden proportions. 3 to 5. When I told you about the harmony, I didn't tell you, and now it is the time, the true time, to tell you that the harmony is not only beauty for the eyes, but that is the optimal meanings of the functions which were the reason to build this structure. Should I repeat? Probably. So, of course, you remember that the function is the first and the structure is the second. But the golden section gives us the key how to influence the structure to perfection, and that's why to provide the best functions. I mean, that functions which were the reason, which were the cause to appear this structure. The best example illustrating this thought could be the egg which Fabergé used for his tremendous collection. He has chosen the egg as the symbol of perfection, not only because of its shape, which is really beautiful, really perfect, but because of the function. And what is the function? Is durability. It is almost impossible to crush, to destroy the egg, squeezing evenly in the hands because of the embryo. You have the example of the beauty and of the function. You can see here muzzle circumference and skull circumference. The ratio is 3 to 5. Why? What is the function? Bite. This provides the best bite of the dog. The dog can bite the best if this ratio is provided. Moreover, when it is required to provide the maximum of bite, you can remember Bull Terrier or Russian Borzoi. Shape of the head is egg-shaped. So, my example of Fabergé egg was very good for this explanation. So this is an example we have already analyzed without any lines, but now it is the task to your imagination and your knowledge. I will not repeat anymore about the details which provide this dog movement very sound. But I will use these principles when analyzing the photos. Now it's a time for the photos. Very briefly. Excellent build bitch. Slightly long-bodied, with a perfect top line and correct depth of the chest. Excellent front angulation, as well as the rear. Head for the bitch is quite long, but could look longer if the furnishing would be better developed. Long, high set neck, high enough set neck with a perfect top line, correct tail set, and overall well-balanced pitch. Probably I will say very similar things about this example. This coat is more developed on the body and on the, maybe on the legs. Excellent outlines, correct front angulations, excellent rear angulations. And in this case, like in this case, you can compare distance between the legs and length of the body. You can measure it. Here and here, maybe it is the same bitch, I don't know. The beard could be developed better. But it is very typical for the dogs which are living at the countryside and are connected a lot with the earth. Somewhat long-bodied, with an excellent depth of the body, with a big and massive head, medium long neck, excellent sloping top line, enough angulated in front at this picture. I have to beware. I'm not judging the dogs. I'm judging the moments when dogs were pictured. And the same dog could be pictured and could be put standing on different way, and the description will be different. So don't think that my description are absolutely textual. I describe what I see. So I would suggest a little bit better front angulation and a little bit more developed forechest. In this case, strong, massive, deep-chested, medium long-bodied dog, very strong in the construction overall. You can see the difference between female and male, very clear. Large, massive head, medium long neck. You remember my explanation. As longer is the head, as shorter is the neck, because the sum should remain the same meaning. Beautiful top line and tail set, excellent developed chest, including forechest, excellent front angulation as well as the rear. I don't say anything about the coat because you have to touch the coat to understand the texture and all other important details. Beautiful, moderately long-bodied, solid body, beautiful top line, excellent developed chest, a long, massive head with a well-proportioned neck, moderately set high with a beautiful top line and absolutely correct tail set, deep chest with the prominent forechest, correct front angulation, excellent front angulation, with the excellent carriage. Also beautiful bitch, moderately long-bodied, with the excellent outlines, either top line or underline and depth of the chest. Quite large and massive head, medium long neck. I told about the top line, correct tail set and tail carriage. Moderately developed forechest, correct front angulation, excellent front rear angulation. A little bit overloaded with the hair forechest. It could be groomed more clear and repeat more natural shape of the forechest seen from the side. Here is much better done than here. We have all of them. We have beautiful dogs here. Also medium long-bodied with the excellent outlines. Large, massive head, medium long neck, excellent top line with the developed withers, correct tail set and saber-shaped tail, enough developed forechest, enough front angulation at this picture at least. I don't see exactly because we see not exactly in profile. Excellent developed hind legs, well developed furnishing. gorgeous dog. Beautiful, very handsome in everything except one thing. This is a bit too much. One more time, overloaded with a hair forechest. Solid body, slightly long-bodied, deep-chested, strong in bones, massive overall, without coarseness, large massive head, medium long neck, perfect top line, tail set and tail carriage, moderately angulated in front, excellent angulated behind, excellent developed furnishing on the head and limbs. Strong, massive dog. I'm very sorry if I will be mistaken, because sometimes I do not see the details to understand whether I have the male or female. The dogs could be overloaded with the hair, and it could change the general appearance. Strong, moderately long-bodied dog with a solid body and deep chest, strong in bones. A head is large, massive, medium long neck, excellent developed with a strong top line, correct tail set and tail carriage, enough developed forechest, enough angulated in front, excellent angulated in the rear. A little bit spoiled in vertical proportions because of the grass. Rather long-bodied, massive, I believe, male. Deep-chested, strong in bones, large in head, long enough in the neck, excellent top line, tail set and tail carriage. Forechest is overloaded by the hair, so it's difficult to say what it is in the nature of this dog. Correctly angulated in front, excellent angulated behind, a little bit overloaded with the hair. Let's go on. This is the bitch. Feminine, moderately long-bodied, with the excellent outlines, deep-chested, long enough head, but this is the bitch, long neck, beautiful top line, with the excellent developed withers, absolutely strong as the whole, solid top line, correct tail set and tail carriage, deep chest, prominent forechest, correct front angulations. Rear angulations should be correct, but hind leg from our side is a little bit too much placed behind the dog. The rear pastils should be vertical, a little bit too much. The coat is broken, which is very visible. Also, probably the bitch. Slightly long-bodied, with the excellent outlines, large head and long neck, correct neck set, perfect top line, tail set and tail carriage, deep chest. Difficult to say what is the natural angulation in front of this dog, because front legs are placed a little bit forward of the dog. So, shoulder angulation is a bit straightened. I don't know what is in reality. Good developed forechest, correct front angulation. Here and here I have to notice very wide upper thigh. Excellent prominent iliac tuber or buttocks. So let's go on. The same beach. So, beautiful beach, beautiful. Slightly long-bodied. Body is solid. Beautiful top and underline. Excellent depth of the body. Large head with the parallel planes. Medium long neck. Strong top line. Correct tail set. Chest is developed in front, well developed forechest. Absolutely correct angulations, either front or rear. And the correct grooming, not too much coat, without any exaggerations. Go on, please. So difficult to say anything about this dog because of the angle of picturing. 3/4 instead of profile. What we can see, massive dog with an excellent top line, deep-chested, strong in bones, broad-bodied, large head, high-set neck, correct tail set and tail carriage. Excellent developed coat, maybe a bit too overloaded with the coat. Long-bodied, massive, strong male with a large, massive head, medium long neck, excellent top line, prominent withers, absolutely perfect back, loin, and sacrum divisions. High set tail, saber shaped, excellent develop in the forechest, good depth of the body. Dog is looking a bit more stocky. To me, the coat on the underside of the chest is a bit too much, and the forechest is also a bit overloaded by the coat, but full of coat all over the dog, excellent developed finishing, and nice temperament, as you can see. Dog is full of spirit. I start from the right picture. This is the Chris. That Chris, who is most famous specimen of the breed in its history, either at the shows or in breeding. Gorgeous, gorgeous, nothing else. Medium long-bodied, with an excellent top line and deep chest. Couldn't say to you exactly about the head because of the angle of the picture, as well about the neck. Beautiful top line, deep chest, enough prominent forechest, what we can see from this angle. The front could be better angulated at this picture. Excellent rear angulations. Broken coat. Look at the dog on the move. This is the beach. I think this is the same beach which I asked you to put in the beginning. Look at the movement. Top line remains firm. Excellent chest of the body. Limbs inscribes in the right angle. Hind leg at the stage of support is under the center of gravity. Vertical dropped from the eye is crossing the paw of the foreleg ready to be landed. Beautiful picture, beautiful movement. Here, long-bodied, deep-chested, a bit too stocky dog because of the excess of the coat left on the chest and belly. In the comparison with the substance, the overall substance, head looks a bit too short. Medium long neck, excellent top line and tail set. A bit too much hair on the forechest, a bit too straight in front, excellent rear angulation. In my opinion, a dog could look differently with less coat, too much coat. Let us take a look at this picture. It is not profile, but something is visible. Firm top line, hind leg under the body is at the base of the vertical, lowered from the axis of the pendulum. We cannot say about the right angle because the dog should be more close to the ground, as I told you before. And this is what can I see and described at this picture. And this picture is also difficult to say something except the balance. Look at the strides, front stride and the rear stride. Their length is equal. Top line is firm, and the foreleg and eye belong to one vertical line. And these pictures are only to say about some details, not about the overall picture because of the angle of the picturing. We can see the dog with a solid body, with the excellent depth of the body, with the excellent extended trot, and the criterion is provided. Eye and paw of the front leg, close to the moment of landing, belong to one vertical line. Here is not the best picture, not the best moment. We can say about the balance regarding equality of the strides front and the rear. They are a bit too arched in the loin region, and looks with the neck a bit too short. Not the best moment for the description. Look at this movement of this bitch. This is the same bitch. Look. She is beautiful either when standing or when moving. And in my opinion, she's really a paragon of the breed. So I would like you to imprint in your mind this image and keep it in your mind when judging this breed. This is what I wanted to tell you about the Russian Black Terrier and about the specifics of that breed conformation, which should be, in my opinion, considered when you are judging on or when you are breeding, because of their priorities. I ask you to draw your attention. I'm ready to answer your questions, should you have it. Claudio, thank you so much. I appreciate. I tried to do my best, even with my limited English.
So see you next Tuesday, and we will have, I think we can announce the breed.
Yes.
Yes, for our colleagues, and we will have Russkiy Tchiorny Terrier, Russian Borzoi. So get ready, and we will do the same. Claudio спрашивает, он у вас там вопрос. What do you think about the head and the elbow?
The elbow, sometimes there is a subject low in the lips. Yes, Claudio, as it was mentioned, the height at the elbows ulna is 50 to 52%. In my opinion, the elbow joint is placed in the middle of the distance from the withers to the ground. Like for the majority of the breeds, please take a look at the picture in front of you at the screen. This is 2, this is 1, and this is 1. 2, 1, 1. One more time, initial Fibonacci numbers. And if it violates it, you feel it immediately. As Italian, you have the best taste for the beauty.
Okay, so no more questions. So we can say goodbye and see you next Tuesday. If you will have something more to ask, you can ask next time. Yeah.
Any questions more?
No.
No. Okay, thank you very much to all of you for your attention and your interest in Russian Black Terrier. In my opinion, the Russian Black Terrier is a really pearl among other breeds, and it could be considered as the modern, just a moment, modern image of the sinological Russia, like in the past it was Borzoi.